It's time for a reality check.
We're here to deconstruct health and fitness trends and provide tangible advice so you can become 1% better with each choice starting today. Welcome back to this episode of Reality Check. We are your hosts, Jess and Jill, and we had so much fun with our first guest, Coach Christina, that we brought someone else on. So special. So today we are talking with, I'll give you her name, but all of you know her as her Instagram handle for sure. So she's Danielle, but you all know her probably as Oh Snap Macros, and you probably eat all of her meals all the time because they're amazing. But we are so excited to have you on, and it's so funny. Like, I actually didn't even think about talking about this, but how we started interacting. I don't even know. It was probably like 2 years ago, I think, on Instagram. And we just have like chatted virtually on and off over the years. And now we're just like fully immersed in each other's bubbles.
Right.
I love it so much. But tell us just a little bit about like, for the people that don't know who you are, where you're from, and like, where did Oh Snap Macros come from? Like, give us all the nitty gritty.
Okay. So I'm Danielle Lima. I am 37 years old. I'm a female. I live in Alaska.
insert
the Wi-Fi or the internet, dial tone. Yeah. No, I'm Oh Snap Macros. I am a food blogger on the internet. I have an Instagram handle at Oh Snap Macros. I provide you with free recipes online that are macro friendly, high protein, moderate carbs and fats. I really started Oh Snap Macros because I wanted to get away from having to cook 2 different meals as a mom with kids. And so that was my focus, was family friendly, macro friendly, high protein for everybody to enjoy. And that's kind of how it blossomed into what it is today.
That's so cool. And tell me, like, I actually don't remember, because I know we talked, like we were interacting with each other before you, like, I think fully took a leap into this. Maybe it was right after, but what did you previously do career-wise? And like, what was the moment that you were like, all right, this is it, I'm going for it?
So I was in the construction industry from like 2010 until 2022. Okay. So I started in an oil refinery and graduated my way working with them. And I became a national sales manager, and I traveled all over selling to big oil refineries. I sold scaffolding and insulation. So, things that I didn't love, but I was good at it. Yeah. My dad was actually in oil and gas. So it was kind of like I had the knowledge going into it. And I loved my job. I really did. I was great at sales, and I enjoyed just what came with it. It was a great job. And it was great in my 20s. And then I had kids, and it got different because I needed to stop traveling. So that took like an internal role where I was doing major proposals for just major projects, multi-million-dollar projects. And then I had my second daughter, went on maternity leave, came back. Everything changed completely when I came back. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, now is the time where I need to figure out what my next move is. And I had already started sharing about macro-friendly food and just different recipes online. And I started kind of like getting it onto a website. And after 6 months of having my website up, I was able to monetize it. And then I saw kind of where I could take the blog and where I could take this passion that I had. And that's when I quit my job.
I love that.
Very cool.
Come at this from so many angles, because now I'm curious, like from the blog side of things, were you just like winging it yourself and like
completely?
Okay.
Oh my gosh, completely. I started with it was like Wix.com, something like that, where you can kind of create your own. Yeah. You can create your own drag and drop and do this and that. And it was okay. I mean, for having no clue what I was doing, it was okay. And since then I've had 2 major site redesigns. And I have one guy now that I work with that I'll never get rid of. Like, everything that's on my website, he has hand touched and made exactly how I want it. So it's come a really long way.
That's super cool. Okay. And with like macros, so Jess and I have talked about this a lot, about kind of like our pathways into like the health and fitness world. And mine very early on started with macros back in like 2015, 14 maybe. So like how did you get into that? Like what was your when did you first dip your toes into the health and fitness space?
Okay. So once I graduated college, I started trying to just figure out how to lose weight. I had gained a lot in college, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to eat healthier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't follow anything. And then once I read the Whole30 book, so that was 2020, we'll call it 2020, 2014.
Okay.
That's when I did my first Whole30. I loved that, which the irony of me doing this cleanse right now with you and having done so many rounds of Whole30, which is eliminating everything except caffeine, is just funny that I've come full circle, right? So I did many rounds of Whole30. I was paleo for years and years and years. I just lived eliminating things and I didn't know any better. That just was the only way that I knew to lose weight and feel my best.
Yeah.
Once I had my first daughter, I dipped my toe in keto. I hated that because I like vegetables too much. I couldn't eat carbs. It wasn't good for me. My husband, of course, thrived on it,
They always
all men do, apparently.
They're fine. They just
give me steak, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I'm another steak. Ugh.
Yeah.
If I eat one more cheese. So then what did I do? Oh, I think I did a little bit of faster way to fat loss, trying to lose some of the weight with my first, but really it was somebody gave me a document that I was oh, okay, I can figure this out on my own. And I lost some weight that way. And then I got pregnant again. And then with Madison, I gained 80 pounds. And when I had her, I was what am I going to do now? This is crazy. I don't know where to go. I don't want to eliminate foods again. And so I just kept seeing online and on Instagram, macros. And I'm what is a macro? This doesn't make sense. Even after doing the faster way to fat loss thing, I just still didn't understand. And it sounded like macro was a diet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it just sounded like macros was some magic pill, what's a macro and I need it because you just don't know.
Yeah.
And so then I joined a program. I did a 30-day program. I wrapped my brain around it. I understood it. I lost weight and I was oh, this is cool. I can, lose weight and not eliminate anything. I'm just eating less and counting what I'm eating and tracking what I'm eating and eating in a more balanced way and higher protein. And that's when it opened the door for me. And I realized okay, I'd rather do this than any of these other things I've done. And I feel better. I'm not suffering. I'm not removing.
Yeah.
How old are your kids now?
3 and 6.
Oh, cool. So you started this journey even before, or I guess with your second daughter, it sounds like.
Yeah. So macros in 2021.
2021. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Should we go into a quick, I guess if you guys haven't listened to our other podcasts to give you the explanation, because I think Danielle just hit on something. A lot of people see what we do and they're oh, macros. I've done macros before. I've tried macros before and it doesn't work. Macronutrients are just the things that we eat, guys. So all of you are eating macronutrients. It's just our fats, carbs, and proteins. So when we talk about tracking macros or using it as a tool for changing body composition, we're just talking about setting goals within those 3 things. So you're mixing and matching foods that you're already eating to hit certain nutrient goals for your proteins and fiber and stuff like that. Just to kind of simplify it. So go back and listen to previous episodes if you want more on that.
No, I think this is so good. And it's always cool to hear what people have tried in the past and to get to where they are now, because I actually, I did dabble in fad diets, Weight Watchers and little things just because I saw my mom do it in high school. But I did the craziest stuff. Sometimes I look back and I'm what the hell was I doing? But Whole30 isn't a terrible trajectory overall, right? You're not just fully eliminating things. Obviously it's restrictive and a lot of times people start Whole30 from the wrong place with the wrong intentions, which is the problem with it. But realistically, definitely could have been worse in terms of your pathway.
But I think that kind of put me in this carbs are bad mentality.
For sure.
I didn't choose to learn with it. I just chose to head down, do it. You know what I mean?
And just, follow the rules. rules and that.
And then it was like, oh, well, this makes me feel good. So that must mean I can't eat a carb again because it's going to make me feel terrible and gain weight.
Yeah.
It's funny because now, like you talked about it coming full circle, but now it's like I'll use that as a tool with clients who have fully executed balance to say like, okay, cool. I actually had a conversation with a client about this today, but it's like, you know how to do macros, you know how to change your physique, you know how to hit your caloric numbers with balance. Now let's talk about adding more whole foods in. Like, let's do a challenge that's a Mediterranean diet or whole food diet for a month so that you can see how good you feel on whole foods as much as possible, which we're always encouraging adding fruits and veggies and stuff. But it's kind of funny. Like we do it the opposite way around where it's like, first, let's just like learn the basic of nutrients and fueling your body and not having this dysfunctional relationship with food. And then we can add in tools like that. I think the founder of Whole30 was trying to convey. But yeah, it turns into this all or nothing thing when people just want to lose weight fast.
Right.
It's like keto or anything else. Like Whole30 is treated the same way in that like, I just was, I don't want to say arguing. I was chatting with a girl on Facebook yesterday because someone asked like how to lose weight in a Facebook group for moms. And she's like, I got my gallbladder removed, but I do a completely like super low fat diet and I'm down 25 pounds in 3 months. And I'm like, okay, you can't give advice when you have a medical condition, like as a blanket statement. And she's like, I'll follow my doctor's orders. And I'm like, I'm not telling you not to, I'm telling you not to give that advice. Like that's not appropriate. But people like, do something when they see any type of positive result, they latch onto it like it's just like gospel, like they have it on this pedestal. And I'm like, hold on, like, yeah, Whole30 has a place. And like Jeff said, the intention is there, but it's like you guys are like taking this and running like way too far in the wrong direction.
Well, and at the end of the 30 days, just like rather than bringing things back in, it would be like, let's go, you know, like, here we go.
That is the problem versus saying like, hey, I feel really good. Let me let me add some stuff back in and keep a lot of these philosophies of just like making my plate more colorful and adding some protein here and there.
Which
so
is like
how
attention? That's the problem.
Yeah. So your journey started with a food blog and then you were able to leave that other career to do this full time. And then here comes cookbooks and you had your first cookbook and now your second cookbook is coming out.
Yes. My first one came out in January. My second one will be out in March of next year.
Very, very cool.
I was so excited when your first one came out. I mean, obviously I'm stoked for your second one. But like the first one was like, oh my gosh, like it's just funny because obviously I followed so closely, like over the years, however long it's been. And then I'm sure it's like, I'm saying this as like a random person. So for you, it's like next level, but like to see it all come together in this like little baby, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I know your life was chaos, going through this book, like period of life. But do you know how like, this is a good analogy. You know how like when you're a kid and you see your teacher at like the grocery store and you're like, what the fuck? What is she doing here? Like you're supposed to be in school. Like, what is your like day to day with cooking? Like, I feel like people think you just like, that's all you do all day, every day. And you only eat your meals and like, that's it. And you made a post recently about some like, I don't know, random, like very convenience meal from like Costco or something. And you're like, look, I eat like a normal person too.
Right.
So like, what is that like flow like for you when you're like creating versus just like cooking a meal for yourself and your family? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it changes. Like there's different seasons of it, I would say. Cookbook season is chaos. It's cooking, sometimes 3 meals a day. And I don't mean like cooking my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's like testing 3 recipes a day. And then the next day, testing 3 recipes a day. And then I'm eating leftovers for the next however long.
Yeah.
But I try really hard to have like one cooking day where I'm testing something or I'm creating something new. Like today, I'm going to pick up my daughter from preschool and we are going to retest a muffin recipe together. I'm going to try to video it at the same time. I'm terrible with videoing. I'm terrible with reels. Oh my gosh. Could somebody, hello, if you're listening and you like doing reels, please call me. I hate it. But I try to do that. I always have at least like a couple hours of computer work that I need to do. And so that's what usually when I get my step of my walking pad, I'll do my computer work, comments, all those things. So I try to plan my testing, my creating around my family and like what we're going to eat for the week. let's just use spaghetti, for example. If I'm making a spaghetti, testing a spaghetti, I know that that'll last us 2 nights. And my internet is saying that it's if I'm,
It cut out a little bit, but I think we're okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd buy steaks or ground beef or things like that. And I'll do meals. We'll have steak one night. We'll make ground beef and we'll put that in tacos, or we'll put that in the spaghetti, or we'll put that in, lettuce wraps if I want for lunch. Try to make it really, to make one thing and then throughout the week. So I'm not always cooking. I'm trying to make it easy on myself because I do have 2 kids. And now my little one is in preschool. And so I have like this big of a window to do something before she's home. So I'm as chaotic as most people are as well.
Yeah. I think people think you're just like cooking and thriving and doing all the things. And I'm like, she also has like a family and a life. But cooking is your job, which I'm kind of jealous. I'm confident I would be obese if I lived in your household because
it's very hard. It's very hard.
I would be like, let me try everything. I will be your muffin tester. But Maddie, I'm sure, is great. So we'll let her keep her title.
She is.
When you're coming up with this is like my curiosity, so hopefully everyone else wants to know this too, but when you're coming up with like recipes or like what you want to do next, like what's your inspo or like how do you decide like what direction you're going with it?
So I, of course, take the audience into consideration, but everything is based off of a Google search, right? I am trying to answer problems on the internet. So if somebody is searching for, let's just say it's, I don't know, the spaghetti, right? A certain kind of spaghetti. I find that, and then I'm going to work off of that search that people are looking for. But then keeping my audience in mind, I'm going to make that a high protein spaghetti. I'm going to try to make that not crazy high in carbs. How am I going to do that? I'm going to try to add vegetables where I can. I'm going to try to keep the fat lower. So I'm going off of this magic list, right? That kind of gives me the idea. Unless I have inspiration of my own, then I will go into this like system that I use. Like, let's say you said something like, I would really like you to do a different type of muffin. I could then go into this system that I use and I can look and see if that would also tie into Google. So that way I'm providing something that the internet will also enjoy. Mm-hmm. And it's a whole there's so much analyzing the words and the keywords.
You provided such a cool tool. So I didn't follow you before I started coaching people online. And I found you through my clients because they're always sharing your recipes all the time. And it's funny when you're talking about the way that you cook for your family, it's so similar. Like that's how I meal prep. I'm not somebody who makes every meal in perfect Tupperware, like a bodybuilder, right? It's like, okay, I prep a couple meats for the week. And then I'm like, okay, can we throw it in tacos? Can we add it to spaghetti? And we're mixing and matching proteins and vegetables and other things. And you put it in this perfect little package to make it easy for people to learn how to cook on their own too. Like I think them following your recipes to start educates them on how to make and mix and match their own foods in the future. It's absolutely awesome.
That's cool to hear.
No, yeah. I mean, feedback from clients is always like exactly like what your intention was, which is like nail on the head of like family friendly. I don't want to cook multiple meals every night. And like, that's like, I think your recipes can be so versatile in that way. Like, I don't know, there's a chicken, some type of spicy air fried chicken recipe. And you probably know exactly what it is, but
blackened.
Yeah, the blackened. Yes, my husband's obsessed with it. And I'm like, okay, this is too spicy for me. So he'll literally make a batch and like pull back the spice, air fry it, and then make his spicy ass batch and then put it in. And then like we use that for the meal prep like all week. So we go in waves. Like I'll do like a breakfast muffin, banana bread type of recipe for the week sometimes. There's a blueberry muffin. I don't know. My kid asks me at least like twice a week, like, have you made those blueberry muffins lately? And I'm like, no, we can make them. But it is cool because for me, like I do have a kid that is pickier. So like if I can sneak things in like that, it makes it so much easier. So I haven't had the experience to be able to, like Jess's kids, whole nother story. She can tell you what her kids do. I'm confident her child would eat like 8 pounds of liver for breakfast. But Mason's super picky. So like it's been really cool to, as he gets older, to be able to do that. But
But that's the feedback I've gotten from clients too, where they're like, "Oh my gosh, the Big Mac casserole recipe, things like that," where they're like,
yeah.
"My whole family loves this. My husband loves it. My kids love it. And my husband never eats anything." And it's like, sweet. Like we can find stuff that we like, that everybody likes, and you're getting your nutrients. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. Yep.
My kids are not, they are picky. So if they like it, I'm like, okay, we know this is good.
You're like, you're good. This is
Yeah.
going on.
This is family friendly.
This is vlog worthy. We're Maggie approved. We're good.
Yeah.
No, I think that's great. And I know you have like the meal planning tool and so many other like resources on your page, which is awesome. But yeah, I think Big Mac casserole and the French toast bake or something was like, there was like 6 months,
yeah.
like every single week. I'm confident multiple clients were making this. And that's why it was so funny when I was like, oh my gosh, when she comes into our group chat, she's going to be like, these people are fucking smoke. And I'm like, this is not a show for you.
Yeah, this has been, they share your recipes in there like a couple a week. And I was like, this is so cool that she's going to be joining our group chat and just be able to see the actual impact that you're making on people's lives. And this is like a very small little world of the internet that you're impacting. It's super cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That makes me feel really good.
Good. Yeah. We're just here to hype you up today in case you didn't realize. You have experienced like a lot of the like fitness world and things. I know you've gone through your own, like basically like self-guided, like deficits and maintenance phases in the past, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I've done both self-guided and one-on-one.
Okay, cool. I love that.
And group as well.
Yeah. So you've had a little bit of everything. So I know we are like literally days into this detox, but like, what's your perspective so far coming into this detox from a place of like, you know, you've gone through like stressful things and, you know, these cookbooks and all of the stuff in the last, you know, year, whatever time frame. It's been a lot of like extra work on your plate going through all that. So what is it like going into a detox from that place of like health and foundational things versus like Whole30 in the past or versus just like going into a deficit?
And it's very different from physique goals too. Like your
Right.
mindset has to be totally different.
Right. So because I have like stomach issues and I'm feeling a certain way after I eat certain things, like I was going to dinner with my husband and this is when I knew it was bad. Like we'd go on date night and I'd come home and I'd look like I was like 6 months pregnant.
Mhm.
And I can't live like that where I'm going out and I eat something out and I don't feel good. It doesn't make it fun. I don't want to do that date night ever again, you know, because then it's miserable. So going into this, I have the mindset of like, I want to figure out why I'm feeling like that, what's making me feel like that, or what has changed in my life that is maybe causing this. And I know I don't take great care of myself, like, especially in this like past season of just, you know, summer break with everybody home and like you are not taking good care of yourself. I mean, some people are. And if you were able to, amazing. I'm proud of you. I treated myself like dogs, you know. I did not take care of myself at all. I just kept my steps up and I took care of my kids and I made sure they had a great summer and I made sure everyone was fed and all the things. And I came last. So I'm trying to like get back out of that. And then just like high seasons of stress, like doing this, I'm forcing myself to do yoga and meditate and drink tea and like do all these things that just aren't my normal routine. But again, my mindset is, it's not like weight loss. It's, I want to get back to like feeling good every day, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think
I keep inserting context here. So Danielle is going through a protocol specifically for like, okay, let's heal your system. And the intention is like, we're not eliminating things to say, okay, let's find a sensitivity and just keep it out for the rest of your life. It's like, hey, let's heal your system so that your gut and your body starts processing things the way it's supposed to be, so that when we reintroduce the foods, you don't have that bloated reaction and all of that stuff. So I think that like the intention behind it is important, because a lot of times people will throw around the word detox or juice cleanse or whatever, and it's not really effective in terms of the impact of it. So the intention here is like, you have all these different stressors in your life, in your system. Some we can control, some we can't control. How can we like slow down and give your body the recovery signals it needs for an amount of time, a month, 2 months, 3 months, so that when we go back to normal living, your body processes all those things like it's supposed to, is basically like the protocol that Jill is walking her through.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's inflammation, right? Like she's been on maintenance for a while in terms of calorie intake. And we were like, cool, let's jump into a deficit. And literally days in, we were like, nope, not the direction we're going right now. Something else has been, which is good, right? Like that's exactly the point is, and I know we had this conversation today actually about like functional testing. Everyone's like, I need to test this. I need to get my hormones looked at. And it's like, let's do 7 days of an audit because you're not working out consistently. You're getting 3,000 steps a day. You eat 60 grams of protein and like one vegetable a week. Like, no, you don't need your hormones tested, you know? So we had talked about that in terms of like gut testing, right? Like, is it nice to have that information before I implement something? Sure. But like, it doesn't change my course of action for you, right? Unless, like I said, it's like a very nuanced thing. But you are in a place to be able to execute this fully and quickly where not a lot of people are. Like you did already have all that foundational stuff, which I should also clarify because most people are like, yeah, hormone protocol. And I'm like, no, we're going to reverse diet for 8 to 12 weeks. And then if you need a functional protocol, like we'll chat. But
yeah, like years of eating the right things at the right amounts. You're not yo-yo dieting and starving yourself and all of those things, because that's like one of the biggest stressors you can do chronically. So like, yeah, you're at this place metabolically where you're healthy. You're healthy from an intake standpoint. So now how can we fix the stuff that's underneath health wise?
Yeah. And that's like how when people are like, how do I know if there's a problem without testing? This is it. You eat at maintenance for many months and you're more in tune with your body and you're collecting data and you knew, right? Like you knew something was off, like inflammation, the bloating, right? And that does impact you on so much more than just a physical level. I mean, I know in Boise on vacation a couple months ago, I ate something wonky and the next day he was like, let's go do this. Let's go get a drink here. And I was like, no, I physically feel ill and I'm going to the gym and I'm staying in this house. Like I don't feel good at all. And it sucks when that happens. Like when you have like one of those, I mean, for you, it's just general inflammation we're correcting. For me, it was a trigger and being an idiot. But that's the point, is that you're more in tune with those things and that we can wipe those reactions out. So it's going to be so cool. And if you guys haven't seen any of this yet, by the time this comes out, she'll have plenty more data collected. But Danielle has a whole Instagram story highlight from like the day she started prepping for this, which is like, I'm just telling all my clients, I'm like, here, you want food ideas? Go on her story. She lit it up like a Christmas tree. And it's funny, I sent all the chat to literally to the coaches chat. I'm like, hey, if anyone is on a flush protocol right now, just tell them to go to Danielle's stories. Ideas on there.
They're like, can we pay her to come prep for us too? I'm like taking screenshots to send to clients. You've done such a beautiful job, like figuring out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know. I love how you say you're like not good at social media and video.
Yeah, you're a queen. You're a queen of social media.
Awesome at it. But whatever. We'll humble you. It's okay. No.
So what are some of the differences? I guess you have kind of led yourself through diets, through reverses, through maintenance phases. And then you've also had one-on-one coaches, and now you're working with us and with Jill as a one-on-one coach. What have some of your experiences been, and like pros, cons, what to look for if you are looking to hire a professional to help guide you on your fitness journey?
So with working with you guys, the main difference is it's everything. So in the past, I've had, a one-on-one coach where I get my macros and she's helping me, and, weekly we're doing check-ins, and it was great. It worked well. It was perfect for that season. But also, doing outside programs for workouts. With this program, it was like, Jill was like, okay, tell me what isn't working well in your body? And I'm like, my wrists. I have really bad wrists. I have mom wrists on both wrists, and I can't do. She's like, okay. And then next thing you know, I have this like fully customized workout program to me. And she's taking into consideration my wrists and all the things. And, it's like in my time frame that I can work with. Everything was just so customized. And I opened the app like, wow, what is this? So I've never had a workout program written for me and what my goals are and what I can and cannot do. So there's that. Everything is in one app. So you're using one app where it's like the workouts are in there. My macros, if they're changing, are in there. It's connecting to MyFitnessPal. So everything's connecting. She can see my sleep because it's coming from my watch. She can see my weight because it's, I'm entering it, or it's coming from like my connected scale or whatever. Everything is just right there. Yeah. So everything is in one app. And I'm able to talk to her and she's talking about my hormones. And we started, like she said, like, let's enter a deficit and see what happens. And after, was it a couple days? I didn't even make it a couple days and things were like swelling up. And it was like, whoa, 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 this isn't right. Whereas I think in other situations, it would have just been like, keep going, get through your 2 weeks and see if things, just truck along and keep losing weight. And there's just such a attention to detail to what my body is doing and how I'm feeling that I've never had before.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're like right there. Like I've had my hand held through diets and stuff and deficits. And I feel like you're like here with me. Like this is different.
Jill is in the room with you. Right?
Yeah. Like what would Jill do? That's where we're at.
No, that's great. And obviously that's our intention. But, it's funny. I actually had a conversation with a woman earlier. Like, she's like, do you have like different coaching tiers? Like if I want to like scale it back or, do less check-ins or whatever. And I told her, I'm like, there's a time and a place for that for our clients who are nearing like graduation, where we have other options. But I'm like, I have like developed and made, I think 3 group programs and I can't release them. Like I tried once and I was like, this doesn't work for like me and what I want for like the industry. Like, I don't want this massive scale of hundreds of people in my little 4-week program and everyone like might see good results, but like then they're just left on their ass. Like I was like, I can't wrap my head around a way to make that work. And I feel like, and some people do make it work and that's all great. For me, I was like, I just can't, I need my hands like in it all the time.
Right.
And I want to come from a place of like, meeting someone truly where they're at and like going through the ebbs and flows and seasons of life with them. And I don't know, people ask me all the time, are you always going to do one-on-one? I'm like, I really can't like see anything else. I just like, this is the capacity that I want to help people in. And I want to help people that need this level of support because it can also be hard to find from a behavioral and lifestyle standpoint, right? Versus just like general macro nutrition, which is great for a lot of people. So yeah, I think that's great. And
as a client, as someone who's done a group program and like that's how I started, I did feel like it was good in the sense of like I was able to figure out what, you know what I mean? Like I was able to figure this whole thing was without investing a ton of money. I was able to be like, oh, okay, this is cool. I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know too. So it's like really important for us. Like you just talked about Jill kind of zooming out and being like, whoa, if your body's flaring up from a deficit, that's a stress sign. Like let's educate you on what's going on at a deeper level. Versus I think a lot of times people sign up for a program like this because they're like, I just want to see physique change. So keep me in a diet. And part of our job is challenging our clients to say like, time out. We want to prioritize health first and physique will come as a side effect, but like, prioritizing health first might mean we don't see physique changes for this current season of life, right? So I think that's important for us too in terms of the individual aspect because a lot of people are coming from that headspace and it's almost challenging them to eventually shift their mindset over time to being like, whoa, when I focus on my health first, I actually do feel better. And then it gets easier. But yeah,
I imagine it's hard too for people because they come to you initially thinking, I want to lose 30 pounds and and they don't understand like, well, that's not where you're going to take them. And I imagine that's frustrating and that's really hard to understand. And for me, that would have been like, oh, what the heck are you talking about? I just gained 80 pounds. You want to keep me here. Yeah. So I think that's probably hard.
A lot of it is just like, I guess over time, learning how to adjust expectations and always message expectations from the very start. Before somebody even signs up with us, we're telling them like, hey, your first 3 or 4 months are going to be spent in a muscle building phase where we're not seeing any weight loss. And they're like, okay, if that makes it easier. And I'm like, okay, but like in a month, you're going to fight me and be like, how come I haven't seen the scale go down? And I'm going to remind you of this conversation. So every week in check-ins, it's like, hey, time out. Like you're panicked because your scale went up, but look, our inches are going down over time. Like, so we're always trying to set expectations and redirect them to the metrics that actually matter versus just the scale.
Right. I have a friend, she just got out of a deficit and she keeps saying like, I just wish that I could have lost 2 more pounds. And I was like, but you have lost so many inches. Like you look so good. Stop worrying about like you've lost so many inches. And like, I keep trying to like reiterate that because it just, they're so separate.
Yeah. And muscle's so hard to put on. Like if any woman puts on 2 to 5 pounds of muscle, they're going to look leaner and more toned and so different, but they freak out and panic and they want to stop as soon as they see the slightest increase on the scale. So it's neat that you're coming in with this, like you're like a level 2 client in terms of your base knowledge. But yeah, usually we're trying to educate and get them to that point that you're at now in terms of your education on health and like body composition versus just the scale.
Well, and it's like also too, I think why, like when we talk about clients with like, they're like, how long is this? And I'm like, I don't know, because like, it's actually really good perspective talking to you with this, because I don't have to take time to explain, not to say people don't need to be talked off the ledge once in a while about this stuff, but I don't have to explain why we're going in maintenance and how long we need. I mean, we'll talk about timelines, but like, the why behind that, like process and the protocol and the method to the madness. Right. Whereas like a lot of other people were working through for a long time initially, like the mindset shifts of like, this is why we're doing it. And like Jess said, we got to bring it back to like why we started this, what the point is of all of this. Whereas you were focusing on now these more like very nitty gritty nuanced things where, I mean, life happens, right? And we have these setbacks and now we have to learn this new thing, right? This inflammation and stress and all that stuff. But it is cool, right? And this is why I tell people like, I don't know when you're going to get to that point, right? You might get to a really great point and then something happens and you're like, shit, this is new territory. Which is funny because I'm trying to think of like when we were Instagram messaging months ago, maybe beginning of summer when we started, like, I was like, you need to start meditation like yesterday.
Yes.
Like every day.
Yes. And we were talking about my hormones and like I had gotten my blood work and stuff. And you're like, you have to stop. Like you are doing too much. And I was like, okay, cool. Bye. Like keep going. And now here I am at my complete breakdown of I just have to stop. I push myself too far. I do too many things and I suffer because of it, because I don't take enough time for myself. And so I started
preaching to the choir. All three of us have been at that place at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's hard to admit,
Yeah.
Like creative multitasking isn't a great thing.
Yeah.
No, and you don't think you need it until your body crashes because you're like, no, I'm being productive. I'm getting stuff done. And it's like we thrive off of that and like the dopamine of getting more done and the high cortisol and the adrenaline of feeling really good. It works until your body just shuts down. And then it's like, okay, I should have started this stuff 5 years ago. Right. So yeah, it's cool that you're at that place now, but it's so important for women to hear, I think, who are like type A overachiever go-getters, because you're like, even though yoga or guided meditation or deep breathing exercises feel like the most boring thing ever, if it feels boring for you, you probably need it.
Right.
Like more than anybody.
Like, I hate this. I can't.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you need it.
It's been so good for me to get to sleep. So like I was having the issues where I was like watching TV at night, right? And it's like, okay, time for me to turn this off. And then I would lay in bed and I was like focusing on all these like negative things that were happening in my life. And I was so focused that I like created anxiety basically. And I couldn't go to sleep because of it. I just kept thinking and thinking and thinking. I'm like, okay, I got to turn on another show so that way I could like get this out of my brain. So now I've limited myself to one show for the last 4 days. And I start my meditation, my guided meditation, and I just fall right asleep. I don't sit there thinking about things. It's changed everything. And I've been doing that for, I don't know how many weeks it's been now.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 now.
Yeah, I know. It's great. It's so good. And I feel like I'm starting to shift into this like new era of like almost like the feminine, masculine energy territory, right? Where like I do operate very much from like very masculine energy and I can do it myself and I can do all the things and nobody needs to help me. And I'm like, why am I doing this? So now I'm to my husband, I'm like, can you do this for me? Can you help me? I can do it. No, but it's like that slow down and just like be present and be bored, like, like forget that that's okay. And that's normal and that's necessary. And it's funny. Like I thought Jess and I always talk about, I don't know if you do like a word of the year, we talked about our words of the year, and we're always talking about manifesting things and whatever. And it's funny. I thought this year, I'm like, okay, this year I have all these ideas and plans, and it ended up being so like messy and hard. And it's funny. I thought it was going to be this like big evolution, and it was to some degree, but I was like, now in September, which this is why timing doesn't matter, but I'm feeling it now, but it's from such a place of like peace. And I mean, my life's a little crazy, but I feel from like a place of peace, where before it was like from a chaotic place, of like, I got to do all these things. I got to fix all these things. I have all these things. And now I'm just like, kind of like letting it flow, and just like, I don't know, I probably sound like a pothead right now or something, but I'm just like operating from that totally different space. And I think it's cool, right? Like when you start to, like, you're having those parasympathetic inputs. And I think once you give yourself time to slow down, you can like appreciate that.
You can give more, and it makes you more productive and more healthy in all your other inputs as a wife and as a mom and in your work and everything. It's funny. One of my good friends is a yoga instructor and very into like mindfulness practices and all this. And when I first started practicing meditation, I was like, this is wild. Like, it's like the best sleep aid ever because I used it just to turn off my brain. And it was funny because she challenged me of like, okay, you haven't actually started meditating yet. You're just using it to like silence the noise. Like, the next step now is, why don't you practice meditating during the day where you're not going to close your eyes and you actually turn off your brain, but you stay awake? And I'm like, what a concept. I don't think I can do it. And it's like, that's now my next step of my new challenge is like, can I like sit still and quiet and just focus on my breath for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, right? Because eventually it actually physically changes your brain. So you're less anxious and less stressed to like incoming stressors in real life. It is wild what it does from a physical standpoint.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your next phase.
That's someday. Right. That's a someday phase. That's not a tomorrow. That's like a year from now. I'm still working on it for 5 years. Okay.
5 years in, we'll get there. It's okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it's great. And then tell me too, like, this can like, it's totally appropriate for this to be an I have no idea answer, but like, what are your like current or like future goals with like what you do? Like, I feel like if you're like, you have a book coming out, I'm not like, when's your next book? Because like, this is a monumental thing for book 2 coming out, but like, what do you see going forward? Are you just like living life and cooking? Because that's appropriate too.
Right. I think right now I'm living life and cooking and trying to figure out what's next. I mean, book 2 will come out and I'm excited about that. I'm very excited about that. I do think this is the last book. That takes a big toll on me. And yeah, I think this is the last book. If not the last book, it's the last book for a long time. But yeah, I don't know. Right now I'm enjoying the like, I've been able to take a step back. I've been able to pause a little bit because I set myself up so well for that whole rest of the year. So yeah, I don't know yet. I need to sit down and kind of figure it out. But right now I'm just kind of like happy where we're coasting. And yeah, I think that's it.
Totally appropriate to just, I don't know, just live in.
That fits. Right. That fits with your health goals right now, actually.
Right.
Slow down and enjoy life.
Yeah, that was a trick question. No, I'm just kidding.
You passed.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I also think like I went through like, I'm going to call it my midlife crisis because I mean, technically like the average age of the woman now. Right. And I went through this whole like, my husband's name is Joey. Joey, we need to get out of here. We need to like give the kids experiences. We need to do all these things. And I just like went down this like, am I going to go into like farmer Danielle life, or am I going to go like travel the world, in an RV? I don't know what I'm going to do. And so the next thing that I presented, because the closest place for us to travel is Hawaii. So we're going to take the kids to Hawaii and just like check out for 3 weeks. And just like live there. I mean, I say live there, but like we're just going to check out. So we're doing that next month. And I think that'll be really good for me, just like mentally, to just not have to do, whether it's work or, taking the kids to school and back and all the things and gymnastics, all the things. It just like, it's kind of like surrounding me right now. And so I'm looking forward to just breathing.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. And what better place to do that than Hawaii? And if anyone doesn't know, she's all the way up in Alaska. So that's why she's saying that's the closest place for her to go, Woosah. But No, I think that's so great. And if you have the ability to do that, like so powerful. So I just think, I don't know, vacations can be stressful, but when you can do a longer one like that and like unwind and then be
Right.
with your family and then like prepare for like back to the real world. I think that's so good.
Right. I was like, if we go for a week, all we're going to do is we're going to get there. The kids are going to acclimate. We're just going to rush in all these things and then we're going to leave. And we're going to be like, okay, we needed a vacation from our vacation versus here we're going. We have one thing planned and that is it. And
Yeah.
I don't even care, like, let's just live. Let's just live in peace and quiet and beach and that
Yeah.
noise and,
The kids swim and ground and all the things.
Yeah.
I'm like thinking of all your Hawaii meditations that are going to happen. No, this was so lovely. Thank you so much for coming and sharing all of that, because we're just like blasting you to the world now that we've blasted you to our clients. So we're just going to keep going with it. But I know everyone will be excited to listen to all of this. And I know everyone's pumped for your book. And Amazon, Barnes & Noble, where are we going? Where are we getting this?
Anywhere books are sold.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Waiting for my copy to come to my door.
And if you are listening and you're questioning working with these two, my experience thus far, it's been 3 weeks, I think we're in. And I've been doing this for many years. And I would highly, highly, highly 100% recommend it. It's not only like just an investment on losing some weight. It's really an investment in yourself. And that is really hard to do, to invest in yourself. And I would just do it.
I love you so much. You're the best. Thank you for all of this. And I think that's all we have for today, guys. And we will see you next time.
Bye.